Welcome to the Montana Department of Labor and Industry Employment Standards Division course on record-keeping requirements. In this presentation, we will outline employment record-keeping requirements in Montana. By providing this training, we aim to help Montana employers understand the legal requirements of record-keeping, what information is required to be kept, the benefit of accurate record-keeping, the retention requirements of employment records, and whose responsibility it is to keep and maintain employment records. Employment record keeping. The state of Montana has adopted the employment record keeping regulations set forth under the Fair Labor Standards Act. Under state and federal law, employment record keeping responsibility is placed on the employer, not the employee. Maintaining accurate and up-to-date employment records is crucial for employers for several reasons. First, these records ensure compliance with labor laws and regulations, including those related to wages, benefits, workers' compensation, and workplace safety. Proper records provide a documented history of employee interactions and transactions, which are essential for addressing disputes, calculating and administering benefits, managing employee compensation, tracking performance, and addressing any legal disputes that may arise. Additionally, well-maintained records support organizational efficiency by facilitating payroll processing, scheduling, and overall human resource management. Accurate records are also essential for auditing purposes, workers' compensation compliance, meeting tax obligations, and can better position the company or employer in addressing potential legal claims or disputes. Diligent record keeping is not only a regulatory requirement, but also a cornerstone of effective and compliant business operations. Required records for non-exempt employees. A non-exempt employee is an individual paid in any manner, such as hourly or salary, who are not exempt from the law and rules on wages and overtime, and is therefore entitled to overtime pay for all hours worked over 40. Most workers are non-exempt. For each non-exempt employee, employers are required to maintain at minimum the following: employee's full name and social security number, address, date of birth if younger than 19, sex and occupation, time and day of week when employee's work week begins, hours worked each day, total hours worked each work week, basis on which employees' wages are paid, regular hourly pay rate, total daily or weekly straight time earnings, total overtime earnings for the work week, all additions to or deductions from the employee's wages, total wages paid each pay period, date of payment and the pay period covered by the payment. Required records for exempt employees. An exempt employee is an individual who is paid on a salary basis working in an executive, administrative, professional, computer, or outside sales position as defined in the Montana Code annotated in the Fair Labor Standards Act. The required records are much the same as those for non-exempt employees and include employee's full name and social security number, address, date of birth if under 19, gender, occupation, to include records detailing how the employee qualifies for and meets the criteria for the exemption, time of day and day of week on which the employee's work week begins, all additions to or deductions from the employee's wages, total wages paid each pay period, date of payment, and the pay period covered by each payment. Records retention requirements. Employers are required to preserve records for at least 3 years, including but not limited to payroll records, collective bargaining agreements, sales and purchase records, along with records on which wage computations are based. Time cards and piecework tickets, wage rate tables, work and time schedules, and records of additions to or deductions from wages. Keep your records at your place of business or at an established central record-keeping location. Keep your records safe, accessible, and open to inspection at any time by state and/or federal labor officials who may ask you to make extensions, computations, or transcription. The law does not specify what form your records should take. Whatever method you use is sufficient if the records establish the information or data required by law. You may choose to keep the records on paper or on your computer. Public Works Contract Record Keeping. Montana's prevailing wage law, also referred to as the Little-Davis-Bacon Law, applies to public works contracts entered into for construction services or non-construction services by the state, county, municipality, school district, or political subdivision in which the total cost of the contract is $25,000 or more. It requires the bidders on contracts pay a set rate of compensation, including employee benefits, and that at least 50% of the employees of each contractor working on the jobs be bona fide Montana residents. As mentioned previously, record keeping is crucial for a variety of reasons. Contractors and subcontractors who undertake contracts covered by Montana's Little-Davis-Bacon Law also have an obligation to keep and maintain accurate records of wages, overtime, and fringe benefits. Required records. Contractors and subcontractors on public works projects are required to keep and maintain for each employee the following records: name, address, and social security number of each employee, the work classification or craft of each employee, the rate or rates of monetary wages and fringe benefits paid to each employee, including the amount of payment, if any, for travel expenses, the amount of payment, if any, for per diem expenses, the amount of payment, if any, for other reimbursed expenses, and the fair market value of any other benefits provided to the employee by the employer, such as allowing personal use of a company vehicle by the employee and the value of meals and lodging directly furnished by the employer, the rate or rates of fringe benefits, payments made in lieu of those required to be provided to each employee, total daily and weekly compensation paid to each employee, daily and weekly hours worked by each employee specified by actual calendar date, and if the employee worked in more than one craft or classification for which different rates were payable, the records shall show the number of hours in each day worked at the different crafts or classification. Apprenticeship and training agreements and standards. The records must clearly distinguish apprentices from other employees. The records must also clearly identify the date each apprentice started working on the public works project and must include verification of apprenticeship registration. Any deduction, rebates, or refunds taken from each employee's total compensation and actual wages paid, and any payroll and other records pertaining to the employment of employees or when the apprentices are employed on a public works project. Retention requirements. All contractors, subcontractors, or employers performing work on public works contracts are required to maintain for a period of 3 years from the completion of work upon such public works projects, records necessary to determine whether the prevailing rate of wage and overtime has been or is being paid to employees working on that project. All contractors and subcontractors performing work on a public works project shall make available to the department records necessary to determine if the prevailing wage rate has been or is being paid to employees on the public works project. Such records shall be made available for inspection and transcription within 72 hours of an on-site inspection, within 5 days of a mail-in request, or at such later time as may be specified by the department. This concludes our presentation on record keeping. Additional information can also be found on our website. Thank you.